Beloved soul, I speak to you now with a weight in my voice and a fire in my breath, because you have been asking for answers while holding on to a pattern that is quietly draining your light, and you have called it harmless. You have excused it as a release, a coping mechanism, a way to pass time, a comfort in the shadows. But heaven sees what it is doing to your destiny, and I, Michael, have been sent to pull back the veil on what you do not want to confront. For this is not just about the action you repeat, it is about the door it keeps open, the chain it silently forges, the permission it gives to spirits of delay, confusion, and spiritual slumber to make a home near you. And while you pray for breakthroughs and cry for miracles, this one habit has been speaking louder in the spiritual realm than your prayers in the night. It has been whispering to the enemy that you are still willing to entertain what heaven has already called a thief, and it robs you not in obvious ways but in the subtle, the lack of energy to pursue what matters, the fog in your discernment when clear decisions are required, the heaviness in your spirit when you wake up and wonder why your joy is shallow and your focus scattered. And though you have called it small, it has grown roots in places of your soul you have not yet examined, wrapping around your motivation, dimming your hunger for God, numbing your heart to conviction, and feeding your appetite for what keeps you in the same cycles you have been desperate to escape. And here is what I am commanded to tell you. The reason this habit feels harmless is because it disguises itself as comfort while secretly breeding compromise. It does not come with a sword in its hand but with a smile. It does not shout its destruction but hums it slowly, like a lullaby that puts your spirit to sleep while time is stolen from you, relationships are quietly eroded, and opportunities from heaven pass by unrecognized. And I know you have told yourself, you can manage it, you can stop any time. It is not like the great sins you have seen destroy others, but what you do not realize is that the enemy rarely starts with the great, he begins with the tolerated, he builds fortresses out of the things we excuse. And by the time you see the full cost, you have already given years, influence, and tears. But this is why this message has found you now, not to shame you, not to condemn you, but to awaken you, because there is still time to close this door. Before the enemy writes his name on it permanently, there is still time to renounce what has become familiar and choose what is holy, and when you do, you will see how much this so-called harmless habit was costing you. Your peace will return sharper, your sleep deeper, your mind clearer, your prayers stronger, and your path straighter. For heaven is ready to release things into your life that this habit cannot coexist with, and I am here. Sword drawn, ready to war for you, but I cannot fight what you keep inviting, I cannot bind what you keep entertaining, and I cannot cast out what you keep feeding in secret. So I ask you today, child of light, will you name it, will you face it, will you bring it into the light of God's mercy and say no more? This will not be the chain I pass down to my children, this will not be the reason I miss my appointed moment, this will not be the thief of my clarity and the assassin of my joy. For the heavens are watching, the scrolls are turning, and the next chapter of your life is about to demand a level of freedom that this habit cannot travel with. So listen closely to this warning, for it is not spoken lightly. I have been sent to reveal what others have ignored, to tell you that the very thing you justify may be the very thing holding the keys of delay in your life. And until you release it, you will keep feeling the frustration of almost but not yet. The endless waiting without the promised breakthrough, the prayers that seem to bounce against the ceiling. Because light and darkness cannot build together, and you cannot climb while carrying what was designed to weigh you down. So take this moment not as a threat but as mercy, not as anger but as rescue, because the Lord who loves you would rather interrupt your comfort now than let you reap the sorrow of it later, and I, Michael, will walk with you through the undoing. For the heavens rejoice more over the soul who turns from what is familiar than over the one who pretends they never needed to. Child of the Most High, hear me as I continue to speak with urgency, because what you are battling is not just a matter of discipline or preference, it is a spiritual entanglement designed to appear harmless so that you keep feeding it while your spiritual muscles grow weaker. And this is why even when you fast, pray, declare promises, you feel like something is dulling the edge of your sword. Like your prayers hit walls that should not be there, like your discernment flickers when you need it. Steady, for this habit has created a doorway where your authority leaks out little by little, and the enemy thrives in such leaks, for he does not always come roaring like a lion. Sometimes he comes dripping like a leak that molds the foundation until the house smells of decay. And though you may have convinced yourself that this habit is just a stress reliever, a way to soothe boredom, or something you will outgrow in time, heaven has already measured the fruit it is bearing. It is draining your discipline in other areas, it is reshaping how you see yourself, it is lowering your threshold for compromise in choices that once were clear to you, and most dangerously, it is building an altar in your routine that receives more attention than your altar of prayer, and though you do not bow to it physically, your time, your energy, your repetition is bowing, and in the realm of the Spirit, every repetition is worship to something. So what altar are you truly fueling? That is the question I have been commanded to ask you, because your life is on the edge of a major shift. A door is about to open that carries both provision and exposure, both opportunity and testing, and if you carry this habit into that door, it will not only follow you, it will multiply its cost, for what was once small in a hidden season becomes catastrophic in a public one. And what you think is a private indulgence today could become the crack that lets the storm flood the room when your name is called higher, and I know you have said, "But I am trying." And heaven has seen the days you resist, the moments you push it aside, the weeks you go without it only to return when the pressure mounts, and I tell you, that is why this message is here, not because you have failed, but because you have not fully surrendered it, you have wrestled with it as an opponent instead of crucifying it as a thief, and there is a difference, because when you wrestle, you leave room to return. When you crucify, you decide its death is non-negotiable, and the Spirit of God is asking you now for that decision, because the season you are stepping into requires a clarity that cannot be shared with this habit, and I must tell you the truth even if it stings. This habit is not neutral, it is a spiritual vote, and each time you choose it over prayer, over purpose, over preparation, you are voting for delay, for dullness, for distance from the very things you asked heaven to send you. But if you will rise even now and say, "No more," heaven will back that decision with a strength you have never felt. Angels will war on your behalf, your appetite will be restructured, your routine recalibrated, your inner voice sharpened, and the spaces in your soul that this habit has occupied will be filled with light, creativity, provision, and a joy that does not rot in your hands, for I see even now the blessings that have been hovering. Relationships that could not find you because this habit clouded your aura, ideas that could not birth because your mind was crowded, health that could not stabilize because your body was exhausted by what this habit demanded in secret hours. And I tell you, this is not a loss you are being invited into, it is a trade, to lay down what feels like comfort but is actually a cage, so that you may receive what feels like discipline but is actually deliverance. For the kingdom of darkness always paints slavery as freedom and makes freedom look like sacrifice. But the moment you choose the narrow road, you will see it was always the spacious one, and I will walk with you, sword in hand, because my assignment is not just to warn but to war, and when you choose to step away from this pattern, you will feel resistance rise. Temptation will come in familiar forms, old memories will whisper, opportunities to indulge will appear. Because the enemy always negotiates hardest when eviction notices are signed, but hold your ground, and you will see his strength break faster than you thought, for his power was never in chains, it was in your consent to them, and the moment you withdraw consent, heaven floods in, the leash snaps, and your spirit begins to breathe again in places it has been holding its breath for years. So I tell you, begin to name the habit, write it down if you must, bring it into the light, speak it before the Lord without excuse. For what you refuse to name you secretly protect, but what you confess you already exposed to death, and I, Michael, will guard the gate as you walk away, because the next chapter written about you will not include the same chains unless you carry them forward yourself, and I declare over you now, this is your turning point if you choose it, this is your moment to say, "I am done living half awake, I am done calling my thief a friend." For what is coming will require a lighter heart and a freer hand, and this habit has no place where God is leading you next. Beloved child, now hear with clarity, for this message reaches deeper than the surface of habit into the marrow of your soul, and I must make you aware that what you have deemed insignificant has been accumulating in the unseen realm, quietly shaping your destiny, quietly rearranging opportunities, quietly shifting your spiritual alignment in ways you do not yet perceive, and though it may feel comfortable, though it may feel like a companion in lonely hours, it is not your friend, for friendship in heaven requires alignment with the purposes I have planted in you, alignment with purity, alignment with obedience, and this habit has resisted every call towards such alignment, and while you have begged for breakthroughs, for clarity, for favor, for the manifestation of what I have been preparing, this pattern has been the silent siphon of your spiritual currency, draining the confidence I have placed in you, distorting the perception I have meant for you to have of yourself, and creating a fog in your mind that hides the path and dims the light I have set before you, and I know you have rationalized. It's small, it doesn't matter. But let me make something abundantly clear. Every small indulgence carries weight in the spiritual realm, and the weight of repeated choice is not measured by how it looks on the outside, but by how it resonates in the unseen, by how it affects your energy, your focus, your heart, and your capacity to carry what I am about to release into your life. And do not mistake this as punishment. It is correction, it is mercy, it is a wake-up call from the heights of heaven to save you from what you cannot yet see, for I have witnessed the seasons you have almost lost, the doors that did not open because this habit had a hold, the opportunities that slipped past your fingers because your attention was divided, and the relationships that never matured because the vibration of your spirit was not steady. And now the time has come for you to take a stand, not just for appearances, not just for temporary resolve, but for a radical renunciation that will redefine your spirit and amplify the flow of my blessings. And I am here to tell you that when you finally break free from this pattern, the doors that were previously locked, the people who seemed unreachable, the miracles that felt delayed, will begin to manifest with ease, because the chains of distraction, compromise, and silent agreement will no longer exist to block them. And you will see how much potential has been lying dormant, while this habit quietly dictated the rhythm of your days. And I must warn you too, for as you begin this battle, you will feel resistance unlike before. The enemy will speak through familiar voices, the world will tempt you with justification, memories will call you back, and excuses will parade as reasons. But remember that the power to say no resides in the altar of your obedience, in the alignment of your heart with the Lord who loves you unconditionally. And the moment you choose freedom decisively, angels will war on your behalf, the chains will break, the fog will lift, and clarity will rush into your mind and heart with a force you cannot manufacture. And I tell you, this is not a coincidence, or a delayed response. It is a designed response from the realms that govern blessing. It is the natural outcome of obedience when the vessel is emptied of distraction and the hands of the Spirit are allowed to fill what has been hollowed out. And do not underestimate the joy that will come, the peace that will saturate your being, the confidence that will anchor you, for this is not just deliverance from a habit, it is liberation for the next level of your life. And in that liberation, you will find that the very doors you were chasing in exhaustion will begin to open, that the people you thought could never see your worth will begin to recognize it without your effort, that the resources you believed were unattainable will flow without struggle, and the presence of God that you longed for in secret hours will manifest tangibly in ways that bring both awe and deep reassurance. And all of this, my beloved, is a direct consequence of confronting what you have allowed to quietly steal your spiritual strength. And so I call you again to name it, to face it, to bring it into the light, to crucify it completely, to refuse it every time it whispers in the hours you are alone. And I promise you that when you do, you will not only witness transformation in your own life, you will become a testimony, a living proof that what appears small and harmless can carry great weight, and that courage in small choices births miracles in monumental ways. And I, Archangel Michael, will remain by your side to guard, to strengthen, to remind you of the greater call, and to ensure that as you step forward into freedom, nothing hidden will return to steal what has been restored, for the mercy of the Lord is swift for those who act with decisiveness, and the glory of the Lord will adorn your life as a crown of honor for the obedience of your spirit. So lift your heart, stand firm, and do not compromise again, for the next chapter awaits, and it cannot carry both chains and victory together. Beloved, now the final words of this urgent message fall upon you, and I say them with both the authority of heaven and the love of one who guards your destiny. Because what you have been tolerating under the guise of harmlessness is not small, it is a thief, a saboteur, a spirit that robs quietly while pretending to comfort, and the time has come for revelation and for decisive action, for heaven waits not for the half-hearted, the hesitant, the ones who excuse the poison because it comes wrapped in familiarity, and I tell you, what you have been excusing is directly linked to the delay, the frustration, the uncertainty, the spiritual fatigue that has weighed upon your mind and your heart, and while you have looked outside for answers, blessings, validation, and protection, the first and greatest change must come from within, from the courage to confront what has been binding you, from the bravery to admit the truth that this habit, no matter how minor it seems, has been eroding your spiritual capacity, dimming your discernment, draining your energy, blocking opportunities that were predestined, obscuring relationships that were meant to support your calling, and creating a fog that left you wandering in near success without ever touching the full manifestation of your destiny. And I tell you, this is not a message of shame but of mercy, for the moment you choose to let go, to renounce, to rise above, to crucify the part of your routine that carries death disguised as comfort, the heavens will respond with a force unlike anything you have experienced, for what has been hidden will be revealed, what has been delayed will suddenly appear, what has been blocked will open, and the spiritual atmosphere around you will shift so profoundly that even your enemies, even those who have doubted your potential, will be struck by the sudden clarity, favor, and presence surrounding your life. And yet, beloved, this will not happen if you continue to rationalize, if you continue to return to the familiar, if you continue to give even a moment of attention to what has been quietly draining your spirit, because heaven cannot fully empower a vessel that still tolerates the enemy's subtle designs, and every time you choose this habit over obedience, every time you allow a whisper of comfort to outweigh the call of destiny, you give permission for delay, for stagnation, for spiritual fatigue, and for the blessings that are meant for your life to be postponed. And do not think this is punishment. No, it is prevention, it is correction, it is mercy from a God who knows that what feels small today could be catastrophic tomorrow. And so I call you now, child of light, to rise, to make a covenant with yourself and with heaven that this habit will no longer dictate your life, to set boundaries for your mind, your body, your time, your spirit, to replace it with what nourishes your soul, strengthens your resolve, and aligns you with your calling, for as you do, you will see miracles that were once elusive manifest with astonishing ease, doors you thought closed open fully, guidance that seemed distant becomes crystal clear, relationships that were stagnant flourish, and your spirit is freed to carry what heaven intended from the very beginning. And know this, angels will guard your progress, opportunities will multiply, divine connections will accelerate, and the favor of the Lord will rest upon you with a weight so tangible you will know it is real. For your obedience unlocks realms that your excuses have kept locked, and the story of your life will be rewritten in ways that testify to your courage, your faith, and your willingness to confront the hidden thief disguised as harmlessness. And as you step forward, the echoes of your past indulgences will vanish like smoke, the chains will shatter, the fog will lift, and you will walk into a season of clarity, power, and peace that surpasses what you thought possible. And even as you rejoice, remember this: every blessing, every opportunity, every favor is the fruit of the obedience that chose freedom over comfort, vigilance over ease, and destiny over delay. So hold fast, keep your eyes on the call of God, and refuse to give the enemy even a moment to whisper in your ear again, for your spirit has been set free, your life recalibrated, and your testimony is now ready to inspire generations. And I, Archangel Michael, will stand as witness to your rise, as protector of your freedom, and as a reminder that what was once killing your spirit has been replaced with what sustains your soul, what empowers your calling, and what positions you to walk into the fullness of the life God has been preparing for you all along, says the Lord.